Andrew Carnegie, from poor messenger boy to wealthy magnate. Born on Wednesday, the 25th of November, 1835, Andrew Carnegie went from a poor messenger boy from the Pittsburgh Telegraph Office to become a self-made steel tycoon, a philanthropist, and one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs of the 19th century. In today's video, we'll be looking at the life of Andrew Carnegie to use his life story to inspire young people who may be discouraged about life. We hope this video gives you the courage you need to believe in yourself and pursue your biggest dreams. If you're new here, consider subscribing so that you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Early life. Andrew was born in Dunfermline, Scotland to William and Margaret Carnegie. Andrew lived with his family in just one main room, whose ground floor was also shared with the neighboring Weavers family. This main room served as the family's living room, bedroom, and dining room. In 1836, Andrew's father got a better income and moved the family to a bigger apartment. Andrew attended a free school in Dunfermline, which was gifted to the town by philanthropist Adam Rowland. Andrew's father soon lost his weaving job due to the invention of weaving machines, and this led his family back into extreme poverty. In 1848, when Andrew was 13, William left Scotland with his family to Allegheny City, Pennsylvania, where he got a job in a cotton factory, earning $1.20 per week. In 1846, Andrew got a job as a messenger at the Pittsburgh Telegraph Office. His unrelenting desire to advance his career moved him to become a telegraph operator in 1851. In 1853, Andrew, now 18, got a job at the Pennsylvania Railroad. He worked as a telegrapher and secretary to Thomas Scott, the superintendent at the railroad. Andrew's father died in 1855, but Andrew's desire to cater for his family led him to educate himself. He soon saved sufficient money to buy a house for his mother. A few years later, he took up Scott's old job as the superintendent of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Steel tycoon. During his job at the railroad, Andrew began to learn about business and investments. He soon began to make investment in steel and oil, which brought in substantial returns. In 1865, Andrew left his job at the railroad to focus on other business interests. About 10 years later, Andrew concentrated most of his time in the steel industry, and in 1889 he owned his business, Carnegie Steel Corporation. His business revolutionized steel production in the U.S. using methods and technologies that made steel manufacturing faster, easier, and more productive. Andrew built several steel plants around the country. He owned everything needed for his business process: the raw materials, the coal fields for fueling the steel furnace, and the railroads and ships for moving the products. This strategy helped Andrew to become an exceedingly wealthy man and dominant force in the steel industry. Andrew was referred to as one of America's builders. His business does not only help to fuel America's economy, but it also helps to shape the U.S. into what it is today. Carnegie Steel Corporation grew to become the largest steel industry in the world. Andrew also published an article titled Wealth, where he stated that rich men in society have a duty to improve the welfare of society with their money. His marriage and children. Andrew remained unmarried until his mother's death in 1886, possibly due to his love and desire to care for his family. In 1887, he married Louise Whitfield. The couple had only one daughter, Margaret Carnegie. Though Andrew and his family began to spend 6 months in Scotland each year, he kept a keen eye on business problems and development at the expense of his love life. Trials and controversies. Many believe that Andrew's success came at the expense of his employees. This is evident in the notable Homestead Strike of 1892. Andrew had acquired another Carnegie steel plant in Homestead, where he invested heavily in new equipment and plants. He automated most of the plant's operations, increased production, and cut down the number of employees. These employees formed a union with which the steel company established work agreements and wages. However, while Andrew was away to Scotland, his partner and associate Henry Clay Frick decided to cut down on the minimum wage of the employees because of the need for fewer workers. The employees' union, the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers, didn't accept this, but instead organized a strike. Andrew had instructed Frick before he left for Scotland that if the new agreement leads to a strike, the steel plant should be shut down. However, Frick, who was well known for his anti-union sentiments, chose to open the plant by force. He also decided to break the union by employing replacement workers from the Pinkerton Agency. A serious fight ensued between the strikers and the Pinkertons, who later surrendered to the strikers. 3 Pinkertons and 5 strikers were killed, and many were injured. Since the strikers won, the plant remained closed, but it was reopened by the governor of Pennsylvania 5 days later, and 2 months later, the strike was called off by the union. Although Andrew was away at the time of the strike, he was still held accountable for Frick's actions due to his lack of action. As a result, his reputation was permanently dented by the event. In the late 1980s, Andrew began to face strong competition from newer, bigger firms who were concerned with sharing the market and controlled prices. Firms he has been supplying to for years threatened to reduce their purchases unless he agrees to cooperate. Andrew refused to agree with their agreements but decided to expand his market into the West. This, however, led to the fall of the company. Eventually, Andrew sold his company in 1901 to the newly formed United States Steel Corporation for about $500 million, though he only earned about $225 million as his share. Philanthropy. After selling his company, Andrew decided to spend the rest of his days as a philanthropist, which he began by making donations and building libraries. Being an avid reader himself, Andrew donated about $5 million to the New York Public Library to open more branches. In 1904, he founded the Carnegie Institute of Technology, now called the Carnegie Mellon University, after merging with the Mellon Institute of Industrial Research in Pittsburgh. In 1905, he founded the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. In 1910, he launched the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Andrew made several other donations and supported the opening of more than 2,800 libraries. His interest in music also led him to fund the construction of more than 6,500 church organs. His death. Andrew, who also enjoyed traveling and meeting and entertaining notable personalities, died on the 11th of August 1919 at his Shadowbrook estate in Lenox, Massachusetts. He reportedly died of bronchial pneumonia. Before his death, Andrew had already donated $76.9 billion of his wealth in all. After his death, his remaining $30 million was given away to pensioners, to charities and foundations. Andrew was buried at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in New York. So, who is Andrew Carnegie? He is a selfless man who did not allow his extreme poor background to dictate his destiny. He grew from poverty, but he was determined to succeed and also help others to succeed. Are you out there, boggled down by hardships and feeling a little lost? We are here to challenge you to look beyond these hard days. Stand up and fight against the trials you face and focus on achieving your goals, as Andrew Carnegie did. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'd like to give you another interesting video for you to enjoy next. But before then, our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Look at your screen now to see 2 other interesting videos we handpicked for you to enjoy next. We love you.